Hello, everybody. Eric here. It's Sunday morning, about 10:32, and I decided to do a book haul video. I don't think I've done one in a little while, and because my work is always so up and down, sometimes I'll go for weeks at a time when I can't get any books, and then I'll get a nice paycheck, and I go a little crazy because who needs food? I'd rather have books. So I got a little stack here, actually two stacks, but I figured I'd go over some stuff I've gotten recently in no particular order, just a bunch of different stuff. So let's just jump right in. And the first thing I picked up is The Last Haunt by Max Booth III. This is from Cemetery Gates, and I actually got this. Looks like it's an epistolary book. Not exactly sure, but I'm not sure if this is officially out yet as of this recording. Max posted that there was something went on where the publisher put it up on Amazon early for like a week or something, just a short time, and then it was going to come down until the official release date. Well, I jumped on it because I love Max Booth III's stuff. So The Last Haunt by Max Booth. And this is about an extreme haunted attraction and something that happened there. They're trying to figure out what went on a year ago at this haunted attraction. I believe that's the case. Then we got this little tiny book, Nothing on the Spine. I'll be reading this in December. This is Here Comes Santa Claus by Edward Lee from Evil Cookie. And I've fallen behind on my Edward Lee. He's got some things out that I haven't picked up yet, but I had to grab this when I had the chance. So I'll have some holiday reading, some nice Christmas fun. Then we've got The Perfectly Fine Neighborhood. This is edited by Kaylee Dobbs, Stephen Kozanowski, and Wiley Young. It's an anthology of stories set in the world of The Perfectly Fine House, which was a novel by Stephen Kozanowski and Wiley Young. I'll have a review for that coming up eventually. This is from French Press, and it's got all sorts of great people in it. Starting with Stephen Kozanowski, Bev Vincent, J.C. Smith, Wiley Young, Jeff Strand, Candace Nola, Ryan Bredink, Zachary Rosenberg, Shane Burnham, Annie Knox, Brian Keene, Gavin Dillinger, Kay Hannafin, D.C. Hill, and Kaylee Dobbs. And for those who don't know, The Perfectly Fine House is set in a world where ghosts just exist. Basically, everything that's ever died exists as a ghost. People live and work and whatever alongside them, and then something is going on with The Perfectly Fine House. I don't want to spoil that. But then this is set in that world. You can see Skywalking his ghost dog, little ghost kid delivering the newspaper. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Here's something you may have seen if you watched my interview with Matt Wilderson. This is Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again by Shigeru Kiyama, translated by Jeffrey Angles. And I believe this is the first time an English translation of these novelizations of the movies has been available. I was very excited about this because I'm a huge Godzilla fan. It'll be very cool to read these stories by the writer of the movies, I believe. So, there you go. Just flying through this stuff. All right. Then we have Never Whistle at Night, an indigenous dark fiction anthology, edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. Look at that beautiful cover. It is what it says, an indigenous dark fiction anthology. It's got an introduction by Stephen Graham Jones, and you've got folks. Wow, I'm not going to start this over. I've already gone over too many books. Folks like Rebecca Roanhorse, let's see, Nick Medina, Brandon Hobson, Norris Black, Tiffany Morris, Shane Hawk, Morgan Talty, Kate Hart, Carson Faust, Tammy Orange, Darcy Little Badger, all sorts of people. I'm not going to read everybody like I did the other one. There's more people. But I'm very much looking forward to this. I've read Shane Hawk's short story collection, Anoka. And seems like this should be pretty cool. And it's got a great cover. Speaking of great covers, though, this might be my favorite cover of the year. This is Hot Iron and Cold Blood, an anthology of the Weird West. Look at that amazing cover. This is edited by Patrick R. McDonough, with a foreword by R.J. Joseph. Got stories by Joe Lansdale, Edward Lee, David J. Scow, Owl Going Back, Kenzie Jennings, Jeff Strand, and more. I like weird, I like the West, and I love that cover. I need more time for reading. All right. Kill the Hunter by Brian Smith from Grindhouse. I haven't been keeping up on publishers. Look at that. Another great cover. I always like to pick up Brian Smith's stuff as it comes out. I try to anyway. And I'm looking forward to reading this one very much. His take on vampires, apparently. Brian Smith, always good. Let's see. I'm going to move this one out of the way. Here's just a couple books I picked up at Walmart. And the first one of those is Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill, because it's the one I didn't have. There might be some small minutia by him that I don't have. I think there's a comic book that takes place in the world of Nosferatu, and there's different, like there's, I think The Black Phone came out. That's the title of the book when the movie came out, but I have it in a different version. I think it's the same book, just different title. Anyway, Heart-Shaped Box is the one that I never had. Finally picked it up. And then The Vanishing by Bentley Little, despite this little special value pricing thing. As I build my Bentley Little collection, just grabbing them when I find them. So I figured I'd pick this one up. All right. One more thing, and then we're going to get into a bunch of stuff I bought at Barnes & Noble. I went to see The Exorcist Believer and had to go to the bookstore by the theater. But before we get to that, I had to get this. I mean, I didn't have to. I don't have to do anything except eat. Weird Tales, 100 Years of Weird, edited by Jonathan Mayberry. So, celebration of 100 years of the magazine Weird Tales with reprints of classic stories, new stories, essays, different things, but classic and new tales by H.P. Lovecraft, Laurel K. Hamilton, Robert E. Howard, R.L. Stein, Richard Matheson, Scott Sigler, Isaac Asimov, Victor LaValle, Keith R.A. DeCandido, Haley Piper, James Aquilone, and more. The Lovecraft story is Call of Cthulhu. Of course, how could you do this without doing a Call of Cthulhu story? So yeah, it's bigger than I expected, thicker, but very cool, shiny. Let's see if the, ooh, that's pretty cool. Let's take the dust cover off. There you go. That's pretty neat. And now we'll put the dust jacket back on, because that's just how I roll. Can't have my books getting dusty. All right, now we're going to get into all of the stuff that I picked up at Barnes and Noble a couple of weeks ago. A week ago? Yeah, just a week ago. Let's start with Out There Screaming, an anthology of new black horror edited by Jordan Peele. It feels like crumpled up tinfoil. So, as it says, it's an anthology. You got folks like Rebecca Roanhorse. There she is again. I never pronounced this name correctly, and I apologize. Tananarive, Maurice Brodus. Let's see, Chesia Burke. All sorts of people in here. I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peele, his comedy, his horror movies. Let's see how his taste in horror stories is. Is that a proper sentence? I don't know. We've got They Lurk by Ronald Malfi. This is from Titan Books, and it is 5 novellas. That's what it says on the back, or on the front. On the back, it tells you a little bit about each one. Huge fan of Ronald Malfi. Try to pick his stuff up whenever it comes out. I think I'm behind on one. I think I'm missing whatever came out before this. Not 100% sure. But, yeah. Always tells a good tale. This will be fun to read. Let's even these piles out a little bit, so I'll take this one. I've been looking forward to this for a while, ever since it was first announced. It's another one that I want to read all of these right now. Always my problem. This is The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter and Andrew F. Sullivan, and it is from Simon & Schuster, Saga Press. Excuse me. Basically about a family moves into a new house, and the husband looks up how to do basic home repairs on YouTube, and things go wrong. But it seems really like an interesting premise, and I like Nick Cutter. Not very familiar with Andrew F. Sullivan, but we'll see. Let's go with a pretty cover, very pretty cover. Vampires of El Norte. I was trying to throw some accent on it, but no. By Isabel Canya. Terrible. I'm a terrible person. Author of The Hacienda. Really dig this cover. I like this sort of rough feel to some of these covers. And I think it's gonna be what it advertises in the title. We'll see. Seems to take place in the 1940s. And I've been digging a lot of these sort of gothic feeling books. This has a gothic feel to the cover, even though there's no castle in the background. Good stuff, hopefully. We're going to keep these piles even. We'll go back and forth. Now, I've mentioned before somewhere that I tend to pick up everything put out by Tor Nightfire, their Nightfire imprint. The only thing that I'm not picking up is the Brian Lumley Necroscope stuff, because I read the first book a long time ago and just did not like it. Maybe someday, if I've read everything else that I own, maybe I'll pick them up and read them. But aside from that, I'm picking up everything Tor Nightfire has put out, and I've enjoyed everything that I've read so far. I've got a ton that I haven't even gotten to, but a bunch of new ones came out since the last time I picked some up. So, this is Schrader's Chord by Scott Leeds. Cool cover, obviously from Tor Nightfire. And this is about a cursed record. We'll see. That's what it seems to be about. After someone's death, after his estranged father's mysterious death, Charlie Remick returns to Seattle to help with the funeral, discovers these records, and then when they play them, things go wrong. So it seems pretty cool. Bumping things left and right. Now, after all of that about Tor Nightfire, we have something that isn't Tor Nightfire, but there's more. This is one that I grabbed. Oh no, the corner of the cover. Last Days by Adam Neville. This is from St. Martin's Griffin. I'm slowly building my Adam Neville collection. I read the Ritual way back in the day and loved it, and just recently read Cutting Folk. I've already recorded the review, and this one's supposed to be really, really, really good, and it deals with a cult, so I always like that. So I figured it was on the shelf, might as well grab it. Who needs to eat? All right. I already said I was gonna go from one pile to the other to keep them even, so I guess this is next. This is Red Rabbit by Alex Grean from Tor Nightfire. It is a weird western, and I had some trouble finding this. I didn't see it on the shelf. I looked it up on. I was looking up Tor Nightfire, and I looked it up on the Barnes and Noble website, and it said that it was in stock at the store. And I did something I almost never do, which was ask for assistance. And they checked the horror section. I didn't want to say, look, I've already been over the horror section 3 times, trying to decide what to get. Wasn't there. They offered to go in the back, see if it was maybe in the back. It wasn't there. And then I found it in sci-fi fantasy. But weird western. I dig that cover. As always, looking forward to it. All right, this is not Tor Nightfire. This is Cave 13 by Jonathan Mayberry. Another one's from St. Martin's Griffin, and this is the newest Joe Ledger and Rogue Team International novel. So Jonathan Mayberry writes some big boys. A big fan of Joe Ledger. I have not read the first Rogue Team International book yet because I haven't finished all the other Joe Ledger books yet, but I do have it, and I always dig Jonathan Mayberry's stuff. And then we have Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward, another Tor Nightfire. This is her latest, although I feel like I saw something recently that snuck under the radar from Catriona Ward. But as always, dig that cover. And this is the story about the sun-drenched summer days of his youth. All right. Wilder Harlow is an author. He has begun the last book he will ever write. Ooh, what does that mean? I'm going to have to read it to find out. Then we got to go back to this one. I love this cover. I can't believe I left this sticker on it. I'll take that off of there. How embarrassing. It's a 15% off sticker. Beautiful cover. This is The Dead Take the A Train by Cassandra Caw and Richard Kadrey. And it is another Tor Nightfire. Man, look at that beautiful color. Look at that beautiful cover. Oh, just fantastic. This is the first book of a duology. And Julie is a coked up, burnt out 30-year-old whose only retirement plan is dying early. She's been trying to establish herself in the New York City magic scene. That's where I'm going to stop. I like Cassandra Caw. Richard Kadrey, I've read some of his stuff. The Sandman Slim, and it was okay. It didn't pull me in, and with so much stuff to read, I didn't continue with the series. Actually, I didn't even start with the first one. I read like the third one or something. Maybe I should go back and start at the beginning. But he was fine. Nothing against Richard Kadrey. So I think this will be pretty cool. A little sad, maybe, since I haven't read it. A little sad to hear it's only going to be 2 books. But of course, they could always potentially continue, especially if they have covers like that. Beautiful. And then finally, not a Tor Nightfire. We have the latest from Rachel Harrison, Black Sheep. Fun little cover. Should be an interesting book. I liked The Return, which is, at this time, the only thing I've actually read by Rachel Harrison. I have Cackle. And maybe she's the one. Maybe it's Rachel Harrison that snuck a book through. There's What Sharp Teeth, I believe, is the name of one of her books. Well, let's see. The Return, Cackle, Such Sharp Teeth. Bad Dolls. That's what I'm thinking of. Short story collection. Bad Dolls. Really cool cover. And it snuck up on me. So, I need to get Such Sharp Teeth. But I like Rachel Harrison's stuff, and this sounds like it should be pretty wild. About someone returning for a family reunion, or a wedding. No, someone returning for a wedding after they've been ostracized from their family. We'll see what happens. As always, I want to read all of these right now, but I can't read everything at once, unfortunately. That's it. That's what I have to show. I've got some old like paperbacks from hell kind of books that I've picked up here and there, but I decided not to try to dig all of those out there in different spots. And I never know how far back to go when it comes to these videos. And do I show books that I've already read and reviewed? Because Holly by Stephen King, should that be part of this book haul? I bought it as soon as it came out and read it immediately. I've already reviewed it, so do you need to see it in the book haul? I don't know. All right. I have two questions for this video. One is the usual generic, which of these books have caught your eye? Have you read any of the older ones? Basically, that would be Heart-Shaped Box, Last Days by Adam Neville, The Vanishing, the Bentley Little. So I think all the rest are new, very, very new. So that's the first question. The second question, I received a comment recently that basically said I shouldn't talk about myself. It said, actually, I could look it up. Let's see. Let's look this up, because I'm talking about myself. The original comment says, another podcaster who appears to have less regard for listeners, letting his I, me, and my overpower what they came to hear. And then I responded, what would you like to hear? And they said, yes, we listened to your opinion. Stop making so much focus on yourself. Albert, I assume they mean Ebert, gave reviews and kept the light on the subject of the review and not himself. I have an itch. Really? Try to be more professional. Be prepared. Look less slovenly. Or just do audio. Don't just wing it. And then I said, but winging it is my brand. So my question is, would you rather I just stick to talking about the subject, whatever the book is, just give you my opinion and leave out the personal stuff? Like, I could have just shown you these books, not talked about how I get, excuse me, try to get all the Tor Nightfire except for the Brian Lumley or whatever else I did in this video. Do you have a preference? Not saying I'm going to change anything, because I'm just lazy, but would you rather I just talk about the books and not throw in the personal stuff? Let me know. I will at least listen to what people have to say. So let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. I mean, we're just talking about a book haul. I don't know what we'd spoil, but please post spoiler warning if you're going to spoil anything. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, My Twitter is at Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am at EL Smith. That's all I have for you today. So until next time, read more books.